Welcome to the Tom Style Show. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're super excited to have Belal Kamara with us. He not only created one company, he founded two. And he's going to talk about both of them. He created the Let's Gym app to find you a gym buddy, which is super important. You know, I'm like, I got to sign up for this app, man. I don't know why we never thought of it, but this is just insane. I love the idea. And then he also has the quick Sesh where he helps anybody to do IT support, the support for their laptops and all that. But you know, we got to learn a lot of these from him, and we don't want to waste any time. Bilal, thank you so much for being with us. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you as well. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite.
We gotta go right in. But which one you want to start first?
We can start with Quick Sesh because that is
right.
My first baby, and I'm more than happy to talk about that.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. So tell us a little bit about Quick Sesh.
Yeah, so I came up with the idea for Quick Sesh shortly after college. I graduated college 2015 from the University of Memphis. And my first job after college was in IT help desk. So I was an IT help desk within a hospital, fixing, software issues, hardware issues, etc. Then I was trying to make extra money on the side. I was like, I don't really want to work Uber in Memphis because Memphis is kind of dangerous. So I was like, let me see if there was like an Uber format, but for like tech services. So I couldn't find anything. And I was like, okay, well, let me just build it. So I took like a full stack development boot camp. I learned how to like develop in Ruby on Rails, TypeScript, React, the basics like HTML, JavaScript, and all that as well. And I was pushing to build an MVP. So I built an MVP in about like a year and a half because that took a while. But I learned a lot of me building the MVP the way I did. I learned a lot of mistakes by doing it just because I was proving to myself I could build an app rather than like just putting something out there to see if there was a proof of concept.
Yeah.
So once I built it, I moved out to Denver just because I believe it was a better startup scene here than Memphis, just for me to partner up with people, get experience, go to meetup events, etc. So once I moved out to Denver, I got into a small accelerator program called the Commons on Champa here in Denver, and it pretty much helped me lay out the foundation. I partnered up with like lawyers to get specific legal documents on my website since I'm capturing data. I got in contact with like a bookkeeper to help me, with all the books and accounting work with Quick Sesh. And also they laid out pretty much that foundation because originally I was focused just for users. I was just trying to get users onto this platform, in case they have any tech issues. But one user might have one tech issue. But however, after speaking to my mentors through that accelerator program, I realized, small businesses have issues as well. So we also cater to small businesses as well, because one small business could have 5 tech issues. Yeah. So, so I learned a lot through that process of, being agile enough to change the business model and also to incorporate like subscription programs, referral programs, etc.
Wow, man, this is fantastic. That's like from the beginning to now what it is. So let me, for most of us, we do IT support. We learn something. We're like, okay, now we learned it. We improved our skills and we stick to it and live with it. But you say, I learned this. Let me figure out a way if I can build a platform to help others and maximize the potential. Man, that's entrepreneurial thinking. This is fantastic. So, let me understand a little more, like how, let's say I'm a user, I'm a small business or an individual sitting at home, and I have some IT problem or let's say some software issue, or I have a question about something, I get stuck online, and where do I go? I Google it, but let's say I don't find the answer. I find a generic, I try to apply it, but it doesn't work because I don't know the specifics of my situation. Then I go to Quick Sesh. What happens next?
Yeah, so person can go to quicksesh.io. Then once they enter the website, they can sign up and enter their issue. So they could, once they sign up, they have a form that says submit your issue. So you could put in the type of issue, if it's something with your Internet Explorer, Word document, etc. You can describe what you're going through, and you can also add an attachment as well if you want. So once the user clicks submit, it goes to the back end, which all the IT professionals, they're able to see all the open tickets and message the user to work on it, or the user can select, we want it done ASAP, and I or someone from my team, they will go in and assign an IT professional to that ticket. So and the main thing about it, it's transparent. For instance, I tried to, a lot of my early customers were a lot of older people. So they had a lot of questions about who's working on my issue, how can I trust them, etc. So to build that trust factor, we have their LinkedIn profile tied into the IT professional's account. So once a person messages, let's say you, about to fix your issue, you can click on their LinkedIn profile to see their experience. And on Quick Sesh as well, you're able to see like their past work through Quick Sesh, and see their ratings. And I try to drive a pretty strict rating system. So if a person falls under 4 stars, like rating out of 5, they're immediately in like a probation somewhat period until they get it back up. Just because I feel like computers risk, like the risk of computer security is pretty high. So I want to have a solid standard of excellence, of good customer service, good communication, and quick responses. Just because I know how my mom is when it comes to computers and devices. So if, let's say, I could contact you and you don't hear back from me from like a week, it's not necessarily good service. So in the beginning, it was kind of hard to like try to mitigate everything and try to figure out what is the best policy for that. But to even get onto like to be an IT professional, there's a big vetting process through Quick Sesh now. So like the first process is I do like a background check to just make sure that there's no cybersecurity offenses or like any cyber offenses like on the person's background, just because I don't want that to be a big risk within the company, because they're all freelancers at the end of the day. Then another one is a test comprised of CompTIA exam questions. So they have to at least pass with a 90% to go to step 3. But then step 3 is a mock-up almost of a person with a computer issue, and that IT professional needs to walk through and fix that issue. So an IT professional can fix an issue in 3 different ways. They could email the person, step by step of walking them through. They could call the person, or if it deviates further, they could proxy into the computer. So the proxying into the computer is the most difficult part, just because myself, I was trying to prove to myself if I could code that, but it's extremely difficult to code. So I was like, let me try to figure out another way to use this. Google actually has Google Remote that you can, remote into someone's computer. However, they need to grant you access to, they need to grant you access to get into the computer and grant you access to maneuver their mouse and click on buttons, etc. So it's a 2-pronged way. And the user, if they're feeling kind of iffy about someone remoting into their computer, they could get someone on Quick Sesh to be on the call with them, just to monitor everything, to make sure everything is going smoothly.
Wow. So you went through a lot of things. So first of all, these IT professionals that you have in the back end that are supporting the customers, so these guys are freelancers? They're like 1099 contractors, or?
Fully freelancers.
Fully, so they're not employed by you, but they have to go through the exam, go through the background check, excuse me, and all that, so that they, and all the vetting process, and then they could be assigned the customer's problems. So you have those guys, the IT professionals on one side, and then you have regular customers that are sending a ticket, the priority, the urgency, things like that, and your team is assigning it to the IT professional. Man, you're like a whole marketplace for the IT problems. This is fantastic. Now, we're going to get to the cybersecurity issue, I think, a lot of the things that you just mentioned. But before that, one thing I wanted to know is what kind of problem are we solving? So in terms of, let's say, computer issues, much older generation, they have the Internet Explorer or Google Chrome or Safari issue, something with online. Or does it also cover, or maybe down the line, you might also cover some programmers that are trying to code things but got stuck, some bug somewhere, somebody needs to review the code or things like that, maybe down the road. But what are the problems right now are you solving?
Yeah. So majority of the problems have been like from the business side of things have been people with like Spotify stores or with like online stores needing help with something
Yeah.
something on that end. Like for instance, the last Spotify issue we had was over the last weekend, and they were building a website. They had someone build it for them. However, they hard coded like the about me page, so the user cannot go in and just like change it. So they put in a ticket through QuickSesh, and one of our professionals fixed it within the same day. Like he realized what was going on. He understood Spotify before, so he just walked through and explained to them, what happened and what is the change to do it, and then they changed it as well. So it was a pretty clean cut process on that end.
Wow.
Another thing on the business side of things is also training as well. What I realized is a lot of small startups, they have like maybe a team of 10 to 15 people, and they might want someone to teach that team about how to be safe on the internet.
Yeah.
So once I realized that was a thing, I added learning as a part of a category you can choose from through QuickSesh. So that is also something as well. So we haven't had much of the training, but over the past, I would say 6-7 months, we had maybe like 10 to 12, I would say. So it was so I was surprised that that's been pretty big, but it's also nonprofits as well. Like a lot of nonprofits as well, they don't have IT service, so we help them with like a user's computer issue. It might be like glitching out when they click on Internet Explorer or Google Chrome. But those issues are somewhat easier. Like it could be like resetting the cache, or it could be as easy as needing an update on Google Chrome. So on the business side of things, that's what we tend to get. On the user side of things, it's more of the older generation needing help. Like surprisingly enough, I'll say like maybe 30 to 40% of our problems that we get from the user side of the software is just needing assistance on what computer they should get, or what printer will connect to their computer and stuff like that. So like with those, it's not as pricey as fixing a Shopify store or something like that. That one is pretty quick. But I would say I was surprised that was a big chunk of the business, just more advice than actually fixing.
Wow, yeah. So your capabilities are kind of unlimited. It's if the professionals that you have on the back end, if they come from all over the place and whatever skill sets they bring in, you can solve all those problems the customers can bring in. So it's kind of, you cannot put a cap. You cannot say we just fix this, because tomorrow you get a React guy who solves React code issues. Boom! Now you got a bunch of customers that can send React code. This guy debugs it, and So you're this is fantastic. Now in terms of payment processing, so you are the processor, right? So customers pay you, and you pay the professionals that are fixing that. So they don't have to directly give the money to that guy, whoever is fixing, right?
Correct. Yeah. So how the payment system works is QuickSesh. So the customer pays QuickSesh 100% of the funds. There's a payout at the end of the month. So the professional gets 80% and QuickSesh gets 20%. So the only reason why I do wait till the end of the month for the payout, or 30 days until after the fix, is there's like a, I'm trying to forget the word. It's like a 5-day window where if the issue comes back again, they could request, the IT professional to look at it. Because because one thing I don't want to happen is, let's say someone don't actually fix the issue, they just put a Band-Aid over it, and then 5 or like 2-3 days later, the issue comes right back. So to prevent that, I had to do like some type of grace window of like 5 days. If the issue comes back, let us know, and we could put the pause on the funds until the issue is, completely resolved.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And the professionals, that's a net 30 agreement you have, so that's totally fine. And generally, business-to-business transactions are similar, so you are totally okay with that. And then for the customers, you're providing them kind of an insurance time to, anything happens, hey, we got your back, we're going to take care of it. If that professional cannot solve it, we have another professional that will look at it and make sure we give you 100% satisfaction. Wow, man, that's a lot of commitment. You're helping so many people. This is thank you. This is fantastic. Now we gotta get into the cybersecurity issue of it. because as you mentioned, 30-40% of the business is just advice, right? There can be a lot of the advice that people need. And surprisingly, I have been in this technology industry for decades, and myself, I don't know what Apple's new thing is, what all the Macintosh and the Windows, the next thing they came up with for the video editing. My producer has some stuff, he built his own PC. I'm not keeping up with the industry, right? So if I want to change my computer, man, I need advice. And usually I Google it, I try to find out. And mostly I get promotions by somebody, a gamer promoting something on YouTube, so that I click on it and then I go to some gaming PC that I have no need for, right? So I want an independent, you were like the buyer's agent, right? You're like, hey, I don't have any agenda here. I'm not selling you something. I'm just giving you information I know based on the criteria you gave me, right? So I really love that. I think it's not just non-tech folks, even the tech folks that went into management. So they also need that support, and I'm sure they'll pay high dollar for it. So that's a fantastic thing. You have the learning side where the company is, hey, I want our employees to be aware of this particular compliance issue, or that's a big thing because that covers the corporation's problem in case something happens. We got it covered. We already got the learning, so that I can go to you. If any issue with the computer, even the small businesses, nonprofits, so that computer issue can be fixed remotely through you. Now, one other thing I'm wondering, because in the office space, a lot of the problems happens with the printer, with the scanner not working, the connections not going through, especially a lot of the internet issues, to blame it to Comcast or to blame it to AT&T, or actually we messed up something, right? So a lot of these things happen, and in my company we have software engineers, they're working, but if you tell them, hey, we got a network, they don't want to touch that. They got their own problem, right? People, they're like, of course they know how to fix it, but they're not going to jump in unless there is an incentive for it. And these are, some office small things. You cannot come up with an incentive structure, right? So for that, we just go to you that, hey, can you help us out with this? Now, a lot of those problems where checking the code, checking the network stuff, or checking the computer issue, virus, things like that would require the remote access, right? And I think you brought that up, the Google, because I was like, is he trying to build remote access himself? Man, this is, oh, wow. Because back in the days, I don't know if you remember this CompTIA that Microsoft had that remote access thing, right? Remote computer, or so you can have the LAN network. Nowadays, nobody does those things. But and then now I think every other company has that. You can remotely control the user's PC, things like that. Now, that is something I think but in this case, I'm just trying to think it through. In this case, the security part of it during that session, I think is covered by Google or Microsoft, whoever service you're using for the remote access. So I think that's covered. But what the IT professional does on that person's computer, is it recorded, fully recorded sessions?
So it is a fully recorded session. Wow. During the beginning, like when I first opened the beta for Quick Sesh, I was the person going in there and fixing all the issues, because I just wanted to see how it is, because I'm pretty well versed in working on computers and computer issues. So I was like, if push comes to shove, I can obviously go in and work on problems myself. So one of the issues that I noticed is just to gain the user's trust. And so once I got the freelancers, I pretty much, before any remote session, like before that is agreed, we get an email in the back end that this remote session is going to happen on this date. It's already scheduled. So once it's scheduled, I reach out to the user. I email them, said, hey, before you get into the remote session, we just want to refresh you about common mistakes that users that people make during a remote session. So don't fully trust people. Like, this is what you need to look out for. If you don't want them to drive your computer, you don't have to give them access. You can allow them to tell you where to click. And also, you can also get you can get me, the founder of the company, on your call, or one of our associates as well. Yeah. So that's how I try to mitigate it. Knock on wood, nothing bad happened yet. But the IT professional base I have now is 13 as of this month. So it's not that many IT professionals.
Yeah.
But I have like 100 applications just sitting there in the vault for me. Like if people wanted to sign up, but I'm trying to slowly let people in. I'm not trying to rush people in. I feel like that's really dangerous to do. So right now with 13, it's sitting really well. Like everyone has enough work to work on. No one's really complaining. Once we get more business coming, then I'll slowly might add one, maybe two more max. But yeah, that is probably the hardest thing. It's just not. It's just fully trusting everything is working all right, and no one is being shysty in any type of way. But yeah, so me trying to mitigate that is just slowly rolling it out and just cautioning the users.
Man, one thing I gotta tell you, everything I hear from you reminds me that you are so focused on the customer. You're not going like, hey, I need 100 of those people in there, I need to go big. No, you're focused on how can we slowly solve their problem, be sincere about it, and not just rush things along, right? Man, that's amazing. This is where I don't want to I don't want to bring this up, but all these laptop story, all these Hunter Biden laptop and all, the things where people leave their laptop with some random place and then everything happens. Whereas you're like, you don't have to give me your laptop. I'm just solving your problem over the phone, email, all these, or even remotely accessing it. But you can see it. Even the founder of the company could be on the call, watching what's going on, and it's fully recorded sessions. This is terrific. I would trust this so much more than giving somebody my laptop overnight and then I don't know what it is, right? This is so. One other thing I gotta ask you, I'm assuming a few of the issues with the computer you may not be able to solve through this remote situation, right? Because if you need to see, because sometimes you gotta replace the parts, take out the RAM, put a new RAM, which one is working, which one is not. If you cannot tell the user, because nowadays the laptops are very compact. Back in our time, we could unscrew these, take out the RAM, put a new RAM in, take out the hard drive, try it out. But now I don't even know how to even open these things, right? So those issues, I'm assuming you're not taking on those problems, but are you trying to do those down the road?
So, I'm sorry.
Oh no, yeah, that's the question.
So you hit the nail right on the head. Like hardware issues, once you get to that point, like we're not able to fix it, and it kind of sucks just because the user might be on the phone with us for like 2 hours, we're trying to figure it out, and at the end of the 2 hour conversation, we can't fix the issue, which kind of demoralizing and sucks. So what we try to do to help them with that is we give them a 10% off coupon for the next time they want to come use QuickSesh. It's 10% off the entire order of the issue. Then we also try to help them. Like we'll ask them if they would need help to like look for a place in their town that can solve whatever they're looking for. So we might send them an email with 2 or 3 locations, and we will call them to see if they can give us a price. If they give us a price, like a rough estimate, we'll just put it down in the email and send it to them, just so they're aware of how much it is and where they can get it from. But later on, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Please go on. Yeah.
Later on down the line, I have been trying to think of a way to have like people come and fix the issues as well. I just haven't necessarily found the best method of doing that yet, because I know I do want to start small if and when I will start doing that. For instance, start in the Denver area and like have that as the beta location and slowly grow out. But I just haven't found the best method to achieve that. So just so it can be safe on both ends, the user feels safe and also the professional feels safe to like drive to a random person's house. So it's that's a little bit more trickier, but yeah, it's still cooking in the oven.
Yeah, no, I love it. But so far, you're solving a number of issues. Talking to you, I feel it's not just the computer. Down the road, you can go into so many things. A friend of mine actually, he wanted to help the EV owners. A lot of folks in California, they have Teslas and they have a bunch of other EV new cars, right? And he wanted to have a fleet of minivans going around, and whenever somebody has an EV problem, they do the testing. And he was trying to explain me that. I was like, maybe even in your thing, if I have a problem with the electric vehicle, I can also ask you. And if you have an electric vehicle professional on your team, they can walk me through the software process, right? Because these cars nowadays are fully automated, right? They drive themselves, all these things. So you are not just computer. You could be pretty much anything except the hardware, where literal hardware needs to be taken out or put back in, right? So that's the only limitations for now. But I'm sure you're super talented and you'll solve it. So before we move to the other app you have, Quick Sesh, is it like Quick Session, short for Quick Session, or?
Exactly.
Wow.
So during my time at it was a hospital in Memphis called Regional One Health, and I was a IT tech person there. So every time someone would call my phone for help, I was like, "Do you want to hop on a quick sesh?" So that's how I came up. That's how I came up with the name. But I've been trying my hardest for like years to try to figure out a better name for it, but I couldn't figure out anything that's better than that's available. So until it.
No, I like it. I support Quick Sesh because it immediately gave me. So there's the confusion I had with Quick Sesh. I totally knew, okay, so it's the session time, so it's a quick session with him, simple. Now, when your other app came along, Let's Gym, the gym app, I thought Quick Sesh is like quickly find a gym partner and have a quick gym session, right? Because the session is, we use session in so many things, but on the gym side, it's used a lot, right? Let's have a quick session, right? A quick workout session. So I was like, the session, I was relating it to your other app.
Quick Sesh is such a good name. You could use it for both. If I put it because with creating Let's Gym, I almost called it Gym Sesh. And I was like, it's too much. It's too much. I got to switch it up a little bit.
And then later on, when you have a lot of these Sesh, you could be the Sesh Incorporated and the parent organization, the Sesh Holding. Oh man, I love it. So, but before we go to the Let's Gym, I want to know a little more about you. Your background. I have seen your LinkedIn profile, and you started from the business administration to learn self-programmer, learned coding, went into the IT world. You helped with the Planisware, some project management software. You were then experienced. So walk us through from the beginning, maybe from the college time, and
So like pretty much, during my time right after college, like during college, I wasn't necessarily the best student. Like I tried to learn, but like coding in college, I got a C in it. I was not good.
That's okay. That's totally fine. College, man. See, don't worry. This is sorry to cut you off on this one. We have we do training similar to I think you worked for DT Consulting. They have business analyst. One of our companies we do business analyst, and we used to do now we do full stack training and all that. A lot of the folks that actually excel in full stack and become a really good engineer not necessarily came from computer science. They came from mechanical engineering, they came from electrical, they came from other engineering or math or other majors, and they excel, even music major, and then they excel at coding. Whereas a lot of the computer science folks, they don't take it seriously, or because they have seen quite a bit and they're like, that's enough. So I would say, anywhere you have the passion and you want to go in and you have a real life problem and you're trying to solve and you're trying to come up with tools to how to solve it, that's the best approach in learning than the college model of, hey, we have the test tomorrow about this that I gave you. You're like, I'm not interested in that. I zero interest.
Exactly. I 1,000% agree.
Right. I'm sorry. And I'll get you back to University of Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. So like my college years was great. Like it's funny enough how I got into even tech. Like it was completely, I don't know, fate, I guess. Like one of my best friends, his name is Sam. He went to the University of Memphis with me. We went to same middle school, same high school. We lived like down the street from each other. And my first 2 years of University of Memphis, I studied business administration because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And my friend Sam was in management information systems. He was like, Belal, why don't you come join MIS? We could take every class together. And that was his pitch to me, and I just joined. I switched majors like that. And so like if he didn't pivot me to switch majors, I don't know what I would be doing right now. But
Oh,
so after I graduated, I worked at Regional One Health in their IT department. So like I started off as a desktop support analyst. Then after that, I got promoted to a business analyst. So during that, I was the middleman between the company and the vendor of like upgrading, implementing McKesson, what was the software. It was good. It actually taught me a lot about like just getting the requirements from the company and try to explain it and implement it with the vendor. So it taught me a lot, and I also got to use a lot of SQL, which I learned during University of Memphis during my time there. So it got me into where I wanted to be. And then my brother, he lived in Denver. He went to the University of Denver, DU, and I was just trying to get out of Memphis because I knew that I wanted to launch a startup, and I'm uh, actively learning how to code. So I wanted to get out of Memphis as soon as I can, just so I didn't want to wait too late and I get quote unquote too old to leave Memphis or like too old to like restart.
yeah.
So I applied to a few jobs and I flew out to Denver, got the job, and me and my brother moved in together. So during my time, I was a workday consultant because I really did want to get into consulting, just because I don't know, I forgot who told me this, but their outlook on work, I took on. Basically, what they said was they apply for jobs where they want to learn a trait or a skill from that job. So you're basically getting paid to build up a skill. So the reason why I wanted to go down the consulting route was I know myself. I'm not a natural, speaker, or I cannot necessarily correlate my ideas to words easily, or give presentations, or do all the things that consultants can do. So I knew that was the way I wanted to go, just because I knew how to fix issues on a computer. I know how to gather requirements. I just felt like that was a missing skill in my tool belt that I needed. So I worked as a workday consultant for like 7 months, and then I went on to work as a Planisware consultant for 2 years. So during my time at Planisware is where I learned a lot about implementing software, building relationships with customers, um, working as a team, being like a lead consultant on a project, helping brand new consultants get mitigated within the system, build their knowledge base up, build their confidence up to speak to the client, ask them questions, etc. But even with my time at Planisware, I feel like I left out because one of my boss, aka my mentor at the company, he was like phenomenal. He taught me how to be confident with how I spoke. He taught me how to present. So that's pretty much how I crafted uh, what I wanted to be. Is I just looked for jobs where I knew I needed to build that skill and just went through it.
Man, wow, that's a beautiful story. And throughout your story, there's one thing that's sticking to me is you value mentorship a lot. I think
Oh
you
yeah.
talked about mentorship in your startup. You talked about mentorship in your career path with Planisware and a couple other things. I can relate to that so much. This is my own personal story because I was in a corporate job in software and I hated it. But I loved my another boss of mine. I loved what he did.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter what my boss did. How can I be that? But I quit my job. I came to that person. He was my mentor, Paul Singh, and I asked him that, Paul, I would like to work for you for free. I just want to watch you, talk to you, learn from you. And for some reason, he gave me that opportunity, and I got to learn from him so much in 2 years that we were there before he retired. I was able to open my company. I was able to do things in my life that I could have never imagined doing. So, a lot of young folks sometimes don't understand this mentor-mentee relationship. And maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah. So within Denver, like there's a place called Commons on Champa. They have like an app as well where entrepreneurship people that entrepreneurs can sign up for the app. It tells you about different events in Denver, etc. When I moved here, I went to the Commons on Champa and just told them, hey, I have a business idea. I'm just trying to get it to launch. And this was before they took me into that small. It's kind of like an accelerator, but it's kind of like an accelerator. It just pretty much set you the foundation. But they were like, "Did you create a business plan?" I said, "No, not yet." And then they got me in contact with an organization called SCORE, So I went into Score. They have a business plan, and they said if you want a free mentor, click on this, and we can schedule like an interview, and then we can partner you up with someone. So the first mentor I had, his name was Paul. He was an old executive from Comcast, and he was a great guy. But he knew more about brick and mortar, like companies, and starting off of that way. So I learned a lot from him, not necessarily a lot to correlate with QuickSesh, but just a lot in general.
Yeah.
Then during that app from Comments on Champa, I just put on there like, hey, I am a new entrepreneur. Is there any mentors or mentorship program within the Denver area? Please let me know. And after I reached out, I got a few feedback, a few messages of people. They're like, yeah, I'm more than open to talk to you, give you advice in any way I can. So I did that, and I met up with my other mentor. His name is Tyler, and I loved hearing his perspective because his startup failed within like 2 or 3 years after he launched, and I learned a lot from him just because from his failure, it was a lot of knowledge gain, what not to do, what he could have done better, he gave too much of his company away, etc. Like with me, I'm 100% bootstrapped. I didn't take no investments. I've been doing it myself. And I'm very cautious about even taking meetings with investors because I know of the rate that I'm scaling at now. And let's say I do take on an X amount of investment to grow X amount, that it's just a lot of risk there as well. Like, as we said, like about cybersecurity, etc. So with mentorship, I wouldn't be where I'm at without it, just because it taught me a lot of what to do, how to do it, and what not to do, and what to look out for.
Oh man, thank you for sharing that. And that's an important lesson. Whenever I talk to entrepreneurs that are venture backed, they have this delusion of money. There's just so much money, they don't really know what to do with it. And we have seen it so many times, even with the fall of WeWork, where with Masa, he wrote $18 billion check for this office sharing thing, and that was a spectacular collapse. And the company today is probably worth $1 billion or so, whereas it was worth like 50 billion or 40 billion or something, right, back in the days. So a lot of because I think the venture money concept was kind of popularized a few years ago and everybody was binge going into this, right? Yeah. Without really realizing, and a lot of people gave up most of their stake in the company to the investor, and then the investor has other investments. They are not motivated to run your company, right? It's your company. And so when you mentioned about how sincere you are in hiring people, the vetting process and taking on risk, that shows because it's your own money. You cannot just, hey, just do a couple more. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We don't have the time. We don't have the cushion to do that, right? Exactly. We gotta be sincere about how we use it. So this is so important. And when you said it's my baby, my first baby, that's I knew right there and then how much you care, and it was a very similar story with mine. Now, before we get into all that motivational stuff, I gotta get to the fun thing, the Let's Gym stuff. So tell us this thing. What's going on with Let's Gym?
So backstory how I even thought of Let's Gym. So I'm Muslim because I was originally born in Kuwait, and my family came to the States when I was about 7. So since I moved from Memphis, once a year there's something called Ramadan where we fast from sunrise to sunset. And my first year in Denver, me and my brother did it alone, and it was horrible. We were like, yeah, we're going to go. So the whole vibe of Ramadan is just not there when you don't really have a community or a family. So ever since the first year, every Ramadan, every year, I just go back for a month and just do it as a family with my mom, my brother, my sister, and my friends. So last year I went back for Ramadan, and me and my friend Omar, we've been lifting weights together since I was in college. And so during my month there, I was just getting like super big. We were getting so much stronger this whole month together. And I was like, man, I wish I could have a workout partner in Denver. And I was like, okay, well, I just thought of that. I was like, let me just write that down on my notes. So every time I have like a spark of idea like that, I don't like it floating around in my brain, in my head. So I just try to write it down just so I can get it out of it. So I wrote it down on my notes on my phone. And then I was sitting in a park sometime this like a few months later in Denver, and QuickSesh was going well, but I'm not in it coding like I used to be. Yeah. And I truly love coding. Like coding is very therapeutic to me. Like I like going to a coffee shop, sitting there, just coding. So I was like, let me see if I'm able to code this app. Let's see if I'm able to do it. I've never necessarily like coded an app before, but I was just like researching online to see if there's like an app builder or like a way that I could code the app without necessarily going down the Swift or um, Java lane. So there's something called Glide. You can build an app, but it's just based off the web. So I was like, let me see if I can do it that way. So I was able to, create the product within a span of 2 months on this platform. So it, full functionality. You can put the workouts. You could put like what you're trying to look for, strength, tone, or other, the mileage of your gym partner, the age limit, etc. So, if it show you all the available options, you can swipe left or right, left, you don't know, right, yes. And then once you match, you can, message the person you matched with and schedule a time you can, work out with that person.
Wow. Wow. And you were able to put all these together in 2 months. Man, the speed of execution, that's called entrepreneurship, right? This is, it's not just thinking about the idea, it's just speed of bringing it to market, right? So what is that, the platform that you used? I think you mentioned the web-based.
Yeah, it's called Glide.io.
Oh,
Glide. Yeah, Glide.io.
There's something with you and IO. You have all your domains at .io, huh?
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper.
Probably the .coms are all taken. That was in the 90s and 2000s, and all the .coms are taken, and the .com bubble and all that. But the IO is very good because back in the days, I don't know whether it's still the case. People used to say it's input output. For your the thing, quick Sesh, it's basically input output in computer. That's very heavily used word, right? The I/O. So I think that works very well. Actually, if we think about it this way, even for the gym, it works very well. Whatever gym time you input, that's the output you get, right?
Exactly. That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, I love that. So Let's Gym, that's an app where so is it available everywhere?
Not yet. So it's right now that is it's still in beta. Like it's still early doors beta. So pretty much where I'm at with it now is I started coding it, let's say in I want to say maybe July, like end of July. And I wasn't necessarily putting a lot of time in it. I was saying maybe 3 hours a week just to play around with code. So I was able to finish it maybe end mid-September. Once I built that early MVP, I was like, okay, let me build like a small one pager. Because the biggest thing for me was that I put a lot of time into building Quick Session. It took me like a year and some change before I had like an MVP to show like proof of concept with. So I know from this one, if it's going to fail, let it fail fast. So let me hurry up and build it, get it out there. If it doesn't catch, okay, at least I tried. So I built like a one pager on Shopify just to like get emails of people wanting to sign up for the beta. And I was also just, learning how to bring an app like this to market. Because one of the things I learned with Quick Sesh when I first started to open it up to market, I was just advertising it and spending like Facebook ad money for the entire United States. And, that's not necessarily smart just because it's just very random. So I was reading like different books, like from Zero to N. That's a really good book that I read, and it pretty much taught how different apps went from zero to another iteration of it, or how to make it better, how it made an app better. And one of the lessons it was I forgot the app name, but it started off like apps like this starts off in like small suburbs or small cities, then it slowly grows out. So I know that is what I wanted to do with Let's Gym. I wanted to only start in Denver. Then once I have like a good user base in Denver, then slowly grow out. So I created like an Instagram for it and like a Twitter. Then we put in posts on the Instagram and the Twitter, just asking people to sign up for it. Then last month I put like maybe $150 into making little postcards off like Canva.com. And I went to the post office and had them like put direct mail, like put in everybody's mailbox. So I got like an influx of, I think over the past month, it's been slowly trickling in, but like I got 65 users, but that's all over the US. But in Denver, it's close to 30 people in Denver. So with that number of 30 people within Denver, I was like, it is time to just have like a small beta test just to see, get feedback from the user base, see if they're able to match with gym partners, able to, actually set up a gym meeting and what they don't like about it. Like, for instance, I know there's some features that I didn't add that I would want to add. Like, I want an ability to schedule a workout with my partner on the app, not just message them about it, like having a whole calendar that links up with my phone calendar to remind me when the gym session is, or a platform, an option to add the gym that I want. But the only reason why I didn't put in that extra effort to put that in the first time is, what if there's like some weirdos out there and you don't necessarily want them to know the gym you're working out at? So I didn't add that. And then the counter thing is, I know it's possible. However, the effort of getting that just on the beta, I don't think it's necessary. So me trying to pick and choose what I think is necessary is was much easier this time than the first go around with Quick Sesh.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that because the thing is, when we need something, all these features and amazing things on bells and whistles are not necessary. If I find for me, I want to find the right gym partner, and if I find somebody who is motivating me, I will come up with my own calendar. I'll probably write it down on a piece of paper, right? And that's what technology, I'm talking a bit backdated stuff, but it used to be. We never knew what this whole web was, so the dark web and all that, we never knew how to find what I'm looking for. That's how Google came about, right? We never knew how can we be even trusting someone over the internet, and then Facebook is like, hey, let me find friends for you, right? Yeah. So, and over here, you go to a new location, or you're probably going to be traveling, some of the business travels, things like that, in a new city, and you want to find somebody who can motivate you so that you can coordinate and do workout together, right? And you are solving that problem. Where else can I be going? There are other social media platforms, but they're not meant for finding a gym partner. In that case, I got to go and ask them, hey, are you looking for a gym partner? Or some people reply to you, yes, I'm looking for a gym partner. And then, it's like how do you even sort them out, the radius, right? So you're solving that entire problem right there on your app, that anybody who downloaded it must be looking for a gym partner. And if they're in my radius, we can discuss and figure it out whether we match first, right? So I think the main issue here is the matching. Not all the bells and whistles of the app, because I know this from a developer perspective. You're thinking, I can do this, I can integrate this one, but from a user, when we like, wait a second, forget all that. First, let's figure out, right? It's I don't want to give bad example, but we have job postings on Indeed and things like that. When we post jobs, we are desperately looking for the right fit that can do the job, and we want to spend enough time to do this. Indeed nowadays, and not just Indeed, all these other guys also, they want to pre-screen them, they want to do this, they want to conduct the interview on your behalf. I'm like, dude, relax. That's not my problem here. I really need to invest heavily to find the right guy. Otherwise, I'm going to end up paying a wrong guy that you have screened somehow and all that happened, right? So sometimes when companies are super big, they have to think in a different way, right? They put different features and stuff to solve additional problems. How else the cross-selling and all that stuff, whereas the fundamentals then go out of the way, right? But you're very focused on the fundamentals in the first step. That's what we talked about. Even in the Let's Gym, you're very focused. And also, I gotta say this: you're very honest and very straightforward about the number of users, what's happening. I know you're not looking for investors, but this is something investors would love, because so many times I hear, we have thousands of users. There's just so much interest in. Like, okay, all right, then you don't need me here. I'm out of the way, right? So I love that the way you were trying to do. So is this app available on the Apple App Store or the Android?
No, so with Glide, it's just a web link. So it's not necessarily in any like stores. So any device can, any smartphone device could use, Let's Gym. I just have to send the person the link during the MVP or during the beta process. And once they have it, they can bookmark it onto their phone and, use it anytime they want. But for an app store, not necessarily in any app store as of yet. If and/when I get feedback of, users either liking the app or having, recommendations of how to make that better. And then, I would, get a team to start, coding the iOS or the Android app. But as of right now, I'm just, trying to start off slowly.
Yeah, to see the product market fit first before jumping in and all the apps and beautiful things, and like, oh, nobody downloaded that, right? Or even worse, people downloaded it but couldn't use or anything, nothing happened, and then they moved on, right? So no, I like that. I like that idea. So you got the Less Gym, you got the Quick Sesh, and you're very actively involved in Quick Sesh. Man, how are you managing your time?
That's a trait that I learned from being a consultant. So pretty much as a consultant, I had multiple projects at once. I would maybe do I would have 2 or 3 customers or clients I'm working on a day. And going back to my boss / mentor, his name is Dan PD. He's out in San Francisco. He pretty much told me how he did it. And how he did it, he blocked off, maybe 2 hours in the morning for this client, and then a 30-minute break for this client, then an hour and 30 minutes for this client. So I have like notepads everywhere in my apartment, and like especially near my work area. And I just have notepads of this time frame. I'm only working on Quick Sesh. I'm working on social media posts for the next 30 days, or Less Gym social media posts for the next week. How to set up advertising for more lead generation ads, etc. Or it might just be looking to like me spending an hour reading into a book just to learn another viewpoint of a person's marketing skills. Just because for me, I know my weak points. I try to be very honest with myself, because in the beginning I thought I could do everything. Like I was like, I'm an excellent business person, I'm an excellent developer, I'm an excellent marketeer, salesperson, etc. And I'm not. Like I know my strong suits, and that is developing. I feel like I'm fairly good at developing. And my weakest aspect of it is the marketing and the sales aspect of it. So with me, that is the talent that I hire right now is, a marketing lead or a sales lead. But I also try to privy myself on it. So like I'll pick up a book, try to read about that. Like right now I'm reading a book called Selling Naked, just to learn about like selling in e-commerce or digitized space. So yeah, I'm like I said, I'm very honest with myself. So if I know I'm not good at something, I try to seek a way to get good at it.
Yeah. Man,
or at least proficient.
you are very good, and your communication top notch. I love the interview. I love talking to you. We need to give you a platform to what advice would you give? Let's say I'm coming out of college. I want to start a company, or I want to be a consultant, or I'm trying to figure out my career. So what advice would you give a young me?
Don't be shy to go out there and just ask people, talk to people. I know that took a lot for me to start doing. I'm naturally a quote unquote shy person. You can hardly tell over the camera, but I'm naturally shy. So to get over that hump of just asking people, oh, so what do you do? How did you start doing it? Why did you choose to learn this coding language or that coding language, etc. I feel like people are the people I've met, I guess I can say, are a lot more open than I would give, people credit, just because like going to, different meetup events or different startup events, just talking to people, not necessarily, because I feel like people use networking, but more of like to get things out of people, like in like I have your back and I have my back type of way. But like for me, it's just like me just being naturally curious. I'm just curious how the person did it, just so I might not do it exactly how you did it, but it might jot something in my mind. Oh, I know how I could use this for what I'm going to do later, etc. So like my number one advice is, if you see someone in the position that you want to be in, by all means, go out there and ask them. And another one is, start doing. Like for me, for instance, I was learning, I did the coding boot camp for, I would say it took me like 6 to 8 months to complete. Then I was too afraid to jump into Quick Sesh. I was like, oh, let me try to code another app to see if I'm ready. Let me try to code this to see if I'm ready. No, just code it. Like obviously I didn't know everything, but that's what Google is there for. You can find anything you want on Google, and it's code. So like you're not gonna get it right the first time. Like I didn't get it right the first time. When I learned how to code and I saw the professor coding, I was like, yeah, I will never be that good. But like, you know, just being consistent and me doing it every day, even if it's 30 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, like just consistency.
Oh man, two beautiful advices. That's just amazing. Yes, having curiosity, going out there, ask people, and whatever you want to do, just do it instead of sitting out there and waiting. I think that's absolutely two of the best advices that anybody, not just entrepreneurial, even in the job and anything, people can use. You know, just go out there and do it. So we love it, and you know, we want to know more as you progress in your career. Maybe you come up with more apps, or the progress of the apps that you currently have for Quick Sesh. We want to learn more about that. And please come over whenever you drop by San Francisco area. You know, come over to the studio, or whenever you have a new update. You know, drop us a line, and you know, we'll bring you back in and update the audience about the new things. But you know, once again, thank you so much, Belal. I really appreciate having you. And folks, if you want to learn more, please do subscribe and check out quicksesh.io and letsgym.io, or you know, reach out to Belal directly. He will give you the link if you want to be the beta tester and get into some. He's in terrific shape. If you want to be in that shape, man, you got to get to that app.
Thank you again. Yeah, I love being on the show.
Thank you. All right, please do subscribe.